dancing to your beat, wanting to blend in, no self-expression, 'cause I wanted you to see I'm not so different, fit in your system. So why do you tell me I'm wrong when I say the same things that you say, and you double the standards because you only like your way? So keep running your mouth, 'cause I'm tired of walking away. I want you to turn around and leave. Every lie you fed me, I can see. Oh, you think I'd cry, you think I'd die, but I feel so freaking alive, honey. Now I got you falling to your knees. Falling to your knees. Falling to your knees.
Hey guys, this is Sophia, and today it looks like I'm about to vlog, but I really am not. I'm just holding my camera up for this intro because why not kind of thing. So after I shared my dumpling story on TikTok, the one that went viral, which I really appreciate, it was completely unexpected. A lot of people were actually asking me on multiple TikToks about my dumplings recipe, so I'm finally gonna share it. I've been hesitant because it's kind of like, I don't know, a family recipe, but at the same time it's pretty basic stuff, so it's not like there's a secret ingredient in there or anything. It just so happened that that TikTok video, which if you haven't seen, I'll leave a link in the description box if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, that video was actually my last batch of dumplings, so it just turned out that I had to buy groceries to make more dumplings. So it literally worked out perfect. And this video is also being released in honor of reaching 100K on TikTok. But yeah, it should be fun. It's definitely gonna sound and look really, really complicated because there's a lot of steps and a lot of ingredients, which I'll show you right now. But I promise you, the taste is amazing. So without further ado, let's just get right into it, because maybe this video is already long, I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, let me show you the ingredients list real quick. So first off, we do add this chicken powder thing. This is salt, this is sugar, oyster sauce, an extremely Chinese staple, sesame oil, same thing. This is like some Chinese soy sauce, also very staple. Cooking wine, literally all of these things my mom bought for me when we first moved to Boston and went to the grocery store in Chinatown, because she was like, you need all of these. Anyways, so this is like Chinese cooking wine, which actually has a very distinct aroma. And then Chinese vinegar. This is the best thing in the entire world. I cannot live without this bottle of vinegar. And then this is actually tapioca powder, but basically it kind of, if you mix it with water, it kind of makes your mix, so to speak, or whatever you're putting it in, kind of thicker, so it makes it less watery, if that makes sense. And then in terms of the actual ingredients, so here you got dumpling skin. I don't make my own, that's just too much work for me. 2 eggs, and then this is the meat. I only use minced pork because this is just the preferred meat that my family cooks and eats with. I'm sure you can do like shrimp and beef and maybe even chicken or lamb. Like you can probably use any meat substitute, but I've always done pork. This is 5 pounds of pork. It's a lot. I'm not going to use all of it because I do end up saving some for when I make tofu, but for the most part I use like 98% of this, so this will make me a good amount of dumplings. The goal is to make over 100 for 100K. And then garlic, also a staple. I don't like ginger, so I don't ever put ginger in my dumplings unless I already have it on hand, but garlic for sure. And then in terms of veggies, scallions, which is like the Asian green onion. They come like this at my Asian grocery store, so I usually just use an entire bag. And then Chinese chives. This is basically like a type of green. It's usually like a 50-50 between the amount of chives and pork, so that's why I have like 3 bunches here. I'm probably going to save half of this bunch for when I make my other eggs and chives dish. Hey babe, can you come here? Can you tell me if you can see my head in that? I don't think you can.
You see half of your head.
Okay, can you lift up my tripod? Now can you see my head?
Yes, now I can see your head. What part of the table do you want to see?
The entire thing, or is that possible?
There you go.
Pork. Gotta wash the chives. Okay, well I'm gonna chop green onions first. If you've never chopped green onion.
Excuse me? Scallion?
Sorry, yes. Why did I say green onion? I mean, isn't that the like
It's the
Western
same
way?
thing.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, if you've never chopped a scallion, you always have to obviously chop the head off first. But honestly, like, scallions are one of the favorite things to chop. I don't know why, it's just like so satisfying. Catch all for my trash. Very Asian to me. So the heads go in there. Oh, and definitely make sure to chop off the ends too. Or the tops, I guess, is technically the phrase. Chop it in half, and then I'll just start slicing them. My parents, because they work in the food industry, can do this way quicker than me. Here is how they should look. One fell. But I'm just gonna put them into the pot of meat directly to save space on my chopping board. And then I'm gonna chop up the tops. Those are the scallions done. Anyways, in terms of garlic, I actually tend to use 2 full cloves, but I only have like 1.5 cloves, so I'm just gonna finish using all the garlic. Okay, so I'm just going to smash them up to make it easier to peel them. Okay, so the way I like to mince my garlic is I actually slice them up and then I mince, because it just makes it quicker and easier. So just a rough slice. And if you're able to slice them so they end up forming a row, it makes it really easy.
Smells good.
You mean it smells like garlic?
Yeah. Exactly. It smells good.
Okay, that is minced. The bowl. Okay, so before my boyfriend gets back, I'm just gonna chop a little bit of chives. I usually chop like them in chunks because chopping them all at once is truly a pain because of how many. So what you do is obviously you cut the edges off. It's very similar to the scallions. You just chop them in half and then just slice them in the same way. With scallions, you can be a little bit more rough, but with chives, it's actually the thinner the better, because then you get less of the chew of the chives, if that makes sense. So this one is always the one that makes my hands hurt at the end, because I will be chopping a lot of chives. So I'll put that in the bowl. Okay, second batch done. And usually when I'm done with all my chives, my bowl is like filled to the top with basically just chives. I forgot to film some stuff for TikTok. Okay, so when all the chives are in, that's when you add the eggs. The eggs kind of act as a binding agent before the seasoning goes in. So it kind of helps all the veggies to kind of mix in with the meat. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix. Like I said, I know this is a lot of meat, but I always make enough dumplings to last me like 2 to 3 months, because we only have dumplings maybe like once every other week. So it definitely looks like a lot, but it's not like we're eating them in one sitting. So my hand is getting frozen because the meat is so cold. Ooh. Okay, I cannot mix anymore. My hands are freezing. Now it's time to do the seasoning. Okay, I definitely forgot to mention that you do need olive oil, but before we get to it, I will say I subscribe to the Asian way of cooking, which is no measuring spoons. We just kind of eyeball it-ish. When I asked my mom to share, or my dad to share with me this recipe, he kind of just used vague terms like a small spoon versus big spoon. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here. So I'm going to use 2 sizes of spoons and just kind of talk you through it. I don't know, teaspoon and a tablespoon? I don't know. Sometimes I even overfill it and just kind of let it drip and just whatever. So olive oil. I'm not using the spoon thing, I'm just going to eyeball it. And then sesame oil, soy sauce, a small spoon of soy sauce. And like I said, because I do like my black vinegar spoons, I'm just going to stick with a big spoon. Small spoon of cooking wine, oyster sauce. Yeah, see, that's definitely overflowing. Let's put in a little bit more. This is the Chinese chili paste, which I think is technically Vietnamese. Yeah, I don't know. Small spoon. Oops, okay. And then we mix it again. And as you mix it, it'll definitely feel very like liquidy, and you can hear it, I think, but it definitely sounds really, really squishy. So that's why we use the tapioca powder, because it kind of eliminates some of that water, so that when you go and boil the dumplings, it's not like soup dumplings. And once you're done mixing it, the meat should look like it's like turning a little bit more brown as opposed to pink, because that's all the soy sauce and oyster sauce and everything. Okay, it already smells really good. And now we're gonna put in the tapioca powder. Depending on how wet this is how much I put in. Because if it's super wet, you need to put in more, so it kind of takes out the moisture. But because it's not that wet, I'll probably just put in 2 spoons. Or two half spoons, I don't know. And then this is when you put in the salt and sugar. So my mom says to use 2 of, so these are like spoons that came with the container. So they're actually smaller than the spoons I showed you earlier, but my mom says to put in 2 spoons, maybe a little bit more. Although we're gonna put in a spoon of salt, so I don't know how much that's gonna work. And then, so we're just gonna put in 1 giant spoon of this chicken powder. Maybe a little bit more. And now, for the very last time, you mix it again. It's still gonna sound squishy though, I will say, like it's not gonna get rid of that squishiness because of part of it is the meat, but it should not feel as moist as after you put in all the seasoning. Can you pour some tea for me, please?
No, yes.
When I usually get here, I'm usually just watching something on Netflix or watching something that I've been meaning to watch, which I probably will after I'm done filming this. But yeah, so what I have here is obviously the dumpling skins. I only took 3 out. I have, I think, 1 more in the fridge. And then I have a small bowl of water, which is to help the dumpling skins stick together. I'll explain it in a second. The filling, obviously, and then 2 baking sheets. I'll also be sharing with you how my mom taught me to store the dumplings. And that is actually why we're using these baking sheets. You're more than welcome to use like plates or whatever you have at your disposal, but because I make a huge batch of dumplings in one sitting, like I need a really large baking sheet. Let's just kind of really quickly show you how I wrap them and how much filling to put in. I am not the best at wrapping dumplings and like pleating them really prettily. My dad is honestly the best. Like, one of my favorite things to do anytime I go home, thinking about it is making me really homesick, is I really love like spending an afternoon with him just wrapping dumplings. But yeah, he's a pro, he's a master, and I definitely still have a lot to learn from him, but I figured out my own way to at least make it look presentable, so that's just what I'm going to show you. If you want to like make a really pretty like dumpling pleat, by all means go on YouTube and find a different tutorial, but that's not what you're gonna find here. Okay, so here is the dumpling skin, and then here is the amount of filling I get. Put it in the middle. You can, I definitely recommend like kind of making it as round as possible. Then you get the water and you put it all the way around. So what I do is I hold the top, pinch it in, so it looks like this. Sorry, I'm a lefty, so this is really complicated. Pinch it in, and then I go like this. So this is the front, right? You're holding this towards you. Go like this, and then you push this in so it folds. And same for this side. Push, push again. Like I said, this is nothing crazy, but at least looks presentable. Okay, let me do it again.
Never roll back, I won't go back. Don't wanna waste time with you. Wanted you so bad, didn't hold back, and now I can't.
I'm gonna go make these dumplings. I think for sure I'll be able to make, 100. I'll let you know what the end count will be. Okay, so I just finished an entire plate full of dumplings. This is a total of 62. My mom told me that the best way to freeze them is actually let them freeze in the freezer for an hour and then take them out and then put them in like baggies. So that's what I'm gonna do. I still have like, it's heavy still. Half a bowl of filling left. I think I'm going to finish it later, but yeah, I definitely want to show you how I take care of this batch first, and then I will finish this off camera. But my freezer should be filled with dumplings by tomorrow night. So it's been an hour, which means they're kind of frozen, but the inside is still not quite, but they're frozen enough to just keep in the freezer now. So what I do is I typically use these sandwich bags, and I put 10 in one bag just because that is for my boyfriend and I, one serving. So that means that if we're making dinner, I just pull out 2 bags and I know that's going to be 10 dumplings each. But yeah, let's just put these in the freezer. Before anyone asks, we do eventually want to just get reusable Ziploc bags. That's the goal. So please don't be rude to me in the comments. I am aware that this is a waste. We are going to do that soon. The reason why you put them in smaller bags instead of one giant bag is because when you take it out to defrost it, it's better to just defrost the amount you're going to eat as opposed to defrosting a whole bunch and then refreezing it and then unfreezing it later. It's just, my mom said that that's not good for the meat, so that is also why we use like smaller Ziploc bags. It's time to put them in the freezer. Usually my top shelf is just dumplings. And that is it for tonight.
The next day.
So the way I prefer to cook my dumplings is I always boil them just because I prefer to eat them boiled, and also because I don't know how to pan fry them. I've tried it once and the results were absolutely disastrous, so I'm giving up, at least for now. So what you do is you get like a pretty big pot, fill it about halfway with water because you're gonna end up adding water when it's cooking. And by then I would have like already taken out 2 bags of the Ziploc baggies of dumplings out to defrost about an hour before I start cooking. I highly recommend you don't defrost it all the way. You just need to defrost it enough so that the dumplings can come apart, because if you defrost them all the way, then usually what happens is while it's defrosting, the dumpling skin will get really sticky and it'll stick to each other, and then the skin will just not be as protective of the filling. So then when you cook it, it'll just break up and break apart, and it won't taste good and it won't look good either. So I think about like 30 to 45 minutes before you need to cook it, you defrost it, you just leave it out, you don't need to do anything special. This is the last batch of dumplings, made a little bit over 100, so I'm really excited. Usually I don't eat them fresh, so this is actually going to be a first for me, but I'm really excited. I haven't had dumplings in weeks and I really, really miss them.
Don't let you go, what you said to me before. Now I know that you know limits of you. Sort of feels like we lost what we knew. And now
Okay, so when it starts bubbling, this is when I put in the dumplings. So
you're like, ooh, I'm just a past life for you.
something my mom always told me is that when you're making dumplings, you always want to, like every so often, you want to stir them so they don't stick to the bottom of the pot.
Need you to cut me loose, yeah. All of the time
And I'm gonna wait for it to bubble up before I add in a small bowl of cold water. My mom just typically does it once, but I always think that it's better to just boil it a few times so I know that the meat is really cooked. But so I usually do it 2 to 3, sometimes 4 times, depending on how long I had it defrosted. So if it had less time to defrost, I'll do it an extra time, 1 extra time. But if it didn't, then I'll usually stick with like 3.
wasted it all for you, yeah. You never had the commitment, lied to my face when you said you were different. I know who you really
You can see it becoming less opaque. The skin is clearing up.
things you never said. Don't want this love, I've had enough. I gave you.
Okay, so now it's boiling. So I'm just gonna pour in my cold water. Wait for it to boil again. Pour in another cup of cold water. Boil it again, and then at that point, it's ready to eat. So it's always a good indication when the dumplings are floating. That basically means that it is cooked, but like I said, I do like to be safer than sorry when it comes to meat.
I'ma let you go, what you said to me before. Now I know that you know limits of you. Sort of feels like we lost what we knew, and I don't wanna last it.
Someone also asked me what sauce I like and what sauce was it that I was showing on the video. Someone thought it was soy sauce and was like, oh, that's gotta be really salty. It is not soy sauce. My boyfriend likes soy sauce with his dumplings, but I cannot. I'm gonna turn off the heat. I get the chili paste, put in a dollop. Okay, that's more than a dollop because I was tilting it. So yeah, about this much for each bowl. And then I put in this Chinese vinegar. I always put less for my boyfriend because he doesn't use it as much. I douse my dumplings in them. Obviously, you'll mix these up before you actually start dipping the dumplings in them. Let's put that aside and scoop up the dumplings.
Moments with you, with you like, ooh, I'm just a
Let's try dumpling. Okay, I literally, I can't show you because it's liquid, but I like flip my dumpling around to make sure the skin is coated in the sauce. And because like I hate the mouth burn feeling, I always eat my dumpling in half and then dip the part with the filling back into the sauce again. Like that's how much I am obsessed with this sauce. Very little things in life beat dumplings. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you make it, please tag me on Instagram or even TikTok. I don't really check my notifications on either platforms as much, but if you tag me on Instagram, the chances of me seeing it is way higher. Let me know if you like it, and I'm gonna go eat this. And if you want to see more food videos, let me know by giving this video a like, And if you want, you can subscribe, but yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go finish this, or inhale this plate of dumplings now and watch some Jeopardy. Bye. See you next Monday.